Greetings friends, Reformed Stoic here, back for a special video. So, about a year ago, I stopped smoking weed. And it certainly wasn't for the first time. And it hasn't even been the first time that I've been off of weed this long. I don't have a lot to say in this video. I kind of dragged my feet making it. I might have actually even quit in like late January. I think I made a video in regards to weed like a long time ago, more near when I was getting off. As far as to some of the techniques or strategies that I use to help me get off, you know, like scraping your grinder when you run out of weed. You know, just like try to quit when you run out of weed, and then if you absolutely need to smoke, scrape your grinder. Maybe that will last for a while. That kind of stuff. When you do buy weed, buy really small amounts. You know, don't buy like an eighth when you cave. Like, try to like commit to quitting even when you fail, and that works for other things. Like now I'm starting to see some progress in NoFap. And that's just like way bigger fish to fry than quitting weed. Because overall, guys, most of what there is to say about this is that when I think about the fact that I used to smoke weed every day, and I started when I was like 16, it would start out basically every weekend. Me and my friends would get weed. That would evolve pretty quickly into getting high every day. About the time I started buying my own weed, I remember the first time that I got high by myself. I came home for lunch one day during high school and just smoked up in the woods and went in the living room and watched some TV, and it was just like, oh, this is the beginning of something really overrated. Yeah, I think about how I used to smoke weed every day and how that would go on in an unbroken chain all the way through my mid-20s. First time I managed to quit for a significant amount of time. On purpose anyway. I was on a big family vacation after my senior year of high school, leading to my first semester in Boston at Berklee College of Music. I didn't smoke weed for like, I don't know, a month or something. I probably could have quit and started a clean slate at college, but surprise, surprise, my roommate, that was one of the things me and him had in common. He's like, I got a Volcano vaporizer, bro. So my first roommate was a huge pothead, so I pretty much got right back on. But yeah, the first time I actually quit on purpose for a significant amount of time was at some point in 2016 or 2017. I think I quit most of 2017, and then I started up again because of a take-home midterm that I took online. My internet screwed up and the page refreshed without me finishing it, so it turned in my midterm with only half of it done. I absolutely freaked out, had a panic attack, went and bought weed to calm down, and I would not get off of weed again until 2020. So that was near the end of 2017. So what happens is I could be off weed for a year. I was basically off of weed for almost a year at that point, and you get high and then boom, it's like you never quit. It's like you never quit, and then another 2 years go by. And in 2020, I think that run I quit late 2019, maybe in like the fall of 2019, and that lasted all the way till the summer of 2020. I had been off of weed again for like 8 months, and I was kind of playing with fire a little bit. You know, I would like buy a joint here and there, and then when that would run out, I just wouldn't buy anymore. But I was kind of like kidding myself. I started a little bit earlier than I really like admitted, because you know I'd buy a joint, that'd last a couple of days, and then I wouldn't smoke for like a week or so. But I was starting to flirt around with it again. But that was the summer of 2020 with COVID, lockdowns. It was about the time that Antifa was like flipping out. You know, they were burning down Wendy's and stuff. And I was like, oh, this makes me so angry, bro. And I was just really angry and politically infused. And I just thought, you know what? We can either get really angry this summer, which might lead to me like doing some stupid protest trying to get in a fight with Antifa for no reason, or I can just start smoking weed again. And I just started smoking weed again. And you know, what happens when you start smoking weed again after you've quit for a long time is you rediscover it all over again, and everything's all peaceful, and watch your favorite movies again and listen to your favorite music again, and then you become very pro weed very fast, and you start to see how uptight you were the last few months. Why not now, my friends? Why not again? Why am I not doing that now? What's really made the big difference for me is becoming a Catholic. And I don't want to use this as an opportunity to bully Protestants. Protestants, more often than not, like, they pretty much do tell you not to smoke weed. They pretty much do tell you not to masturbate and fornicate. I mean, they do. But it's just not as whoosh, it's just not as swift. I just imagine like a Catholic sword, or just a Catholic judge with his hammer, just the gavel, just, there's no excuses. There's no way around it. Catholics don't approve of smoking weed. Period. Catholics don't approve of masturbation. Period. It just feels so much more official. Because it is. Because that is what the Catechism says. That is the teachings of the Catholic Church, where, I'm sorry, with Protestants, there's like 1,000 denominations, and overall, more often than not, yeah, they teach you not to smoke weed and not to masturbate. But, you know, when you're addicted to something, you're looking for an excuse, and you'd be like, oh, well, you know, there's these, like, double reformed Presbyterian sedevacantists who actually say that smoking weed is, like, really holy, and it's the manna that was found in the desert, and, you know, that's actually funny how, like, true that is. So, with Catholicism, there's no escape. There's no excuse. And it's absolutely changing my life. And I'm really having to bite my tongue to not just go into talking about NoFap, which probably there will be videos coming up about that again soon. I think these next few weeks I'm going to try to just really go hard, because what I'm saying is that I've seen progress that I've never seen before with that. Like, I have just been mic dropping milestones. Like, I have not masturbated 2 days in a row since January 15th. And I did better than that. I'm not saying I just did it every other day. Like, I had a 4-day streak, I had multiple 2-day streaks, and I'm seeing progress that I've never seen. And kind of where the strategy's at this weekend is like, okay, you've never seen that kind of progress before? Let's do the biggest streak that you've ever done in your entire life. Because I think the best streak I ever did was 10 days one time when I was going to UNLV in Vegas. So, it's exciting, and I'm trying to get excited about it. And, you know, everything about pornography and masturbation is just cheesy, and people can laugh at that and try to belittle it, but that's what I'm trying to get back to. Weed and quitting weed. It's like, it's exciting to see that kind of progress, because, you know, ultimately it will be a much bigger milestone when I make the video off of weed for 2 years, okay? And I will. So a year from today, you guys can expect 2 years off of weed, and that will be a much bigger deal for me, because I've been here twice already. There was already 2 other times where I was off of weed for an entire year. But I would just start smoking weed again. What would happen both times is, like, you know what? Like, do I notice some big difference? Has this, like, really healed my life somehow? Not really. And I would just smoke weed again. And like I said, when you smoke weed again for the first time in a year, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Let's watch Trailer Park Boys all the way through again. Let's, screw it, run through Friends again. Let's watch all my favorite movies on my DVD shelf again and play video games and oh, this is so amazing, dude. But it's different this time. It is different this time because I know, you guys, that I'm done. I just know for a fact that I'm done. I can honestly tell you that, I can't, these kind of hypotheticals are pointless, but if I wasn't a Catholic, yeah, it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal to me. I probably wouldn't have got away from it, but I'm glad that I got away from it. The differences that I notice is like, it saves money, and I feel pretty much the same. It gets to a point, like, yeah, you'll have your little honeymoon period where you discover weed all over again, but it's temporary, guys. And now the attitude could be like, oh my gosh, I've earned that couple of months of, like, it's brand new, and watch Trailer Park Boys again, and have that, like, warm hug feeling while I watch Trailer Park Boys again, and it will last a couple of months or whatever. But you know what, guys? I need something different because I feel like ever since I moved to Vegas, I've been going in these big circles, going in these big circles, and getting on and off of weed is kind of like that, You start weed again, you're really content doing nothing, and then the depression starts to sink back in, and then you get into self-improvement, and the whole time, like, you're complaining about women when you're not even really, like, living in the world or doing anything. And it's just time for me to make real changes in my life, because I've been through these big circles before where it's like, wow, 3 years have gone by and I'm pretty much just going on another revolution of this pointless circle, chasing my tail, getting nowhere. So I feel like first of all, when you get off of weed, you have to kind of like relearn how to do stuff. It became evident because I definitely know there was times when I would toke up a little bit before I played drums. It's like, oh great, I don't want to play drums anymore. But you can relearn to get back into that. I used to toke up a little. I would either toke up before my workout or immediately after my workout. I would reward myself with a little toke up. Had to reteach myself how to work out. But you get it back. Now here I am, like, really deep into playing drums every day, working out every day, and I gotta tell you, man, like, I'm some of the most motivated that I've ever been right now. Like, I'm checking all the boxes, and this is usually, well, really, like, a couple of weeks ago or a month ago would usually be around the time that, I don't know, I get sick or I make some excuse to give up or something happens, and it's just not happening lately. Like, lately, I am just indefinitely working out every day and indefinitely doing my reading and doing my drumming, and I'm not making excuses, and I'm not letting my sleeping schedule drift off into outer space. And like, yesterday, some dark thoughts kind of sinking in for the first time in a while, because I've been kind of high off of the whole, wow, I'm starting to make progress in NoFap that I've never seen before. So, when the dark thoughts do start sinking in, you can be like, hey man, like, you got some exciting stuff going on right now. Like, you're making progress that you've never made before. But as far as, like, big changes that I've seen in myself and, like, reasons you should get off of weed, it saves money. It saves money, and you just don't need it, bro. Because I can tell you that it stopped being a big deal for me probably at tops like 2 months. It just gets to a point where you just don't miss it, because like I said, after the honeymoon phase, which most guys, let's be real, like, some people never have the drive to quit. Like, I know people who really, they've been smoking weed since they're 18 and they're my age, like 32, 33, and they just never quit, man. And they smoke tons and tons. I can't even really fathom how much they smoke. Honestly, when I was smoking every day, I really wasn't smoking all that much, man. I kind of prided myself in being able to smoke very small amounts to maintain high. I know guys who were smoking, I really couldn't even venture a guess because it's hard for me to comprehend, but I think they were saying like an eighth a week, maybe, or maybe more than that. Like maybe a half ounce every 2 weeks. I don't know, man. My weed math is all off, and There's people who just never try to quit, and so they never get that honeymoon phase that I'm talking about. That's like 15 straight years of smoking all the time just to feel normal. And, you know, they're like, oh, I love smoking weed, dude. I love weed, bro. And, you know, maybe like on 420 you smoke an extra amount or something, but you're basically just smoking it to stay normal, bro. And yeah, like, you like that little rush that you get right after you get high, but just facing the facts, you guys, after a year off of weed, it's like, I don't miss it at all. I'm really not worried that I'm going to relapse. You know, I'll be strategic. I'm sure I'll come across some social situations where maybe it will be offered and I'll just have to politely say no. Because I'm really putting my foot down. Like, I am not going to just mess with it once just to try it, you know. Like, I'm done with it. I'm done. As a Catholic, I'm putting that part of my life behind me. And, you know, even when things get bleak or hard right now, it's like, hey, man, even in times in your life that you maybe consider, like, the peak of your life, like, you know, I had a pretty good circle of friends going at the very beginning of my 20s when I was in the metal bands and stuff. I was a pothead back then, bro, and I was pretty much an alcoholic then, too. Like, I do have something going for me now that I didn't have going back then. So even if my life isn't really where I want it to be, it's like, hey, well, you're doing some things right. Like, you're off the weed. Drinking wasn't really a problem for me. I haven't had a drink since last summer. And last summer, there was just like a couple of times when I had one beer, and it just screwed up my sleeping schedule. I was actually waking up at like 6:30 a.m., going to bed early. I had one beer, and it immediately made me go to bed like 3 or 4 hours later. Like, alcohol just kills my sleeping. So alcohol's nothing for me. I haven't had a drink in going on a year, I guess. But yeah, that wasn't really a thing for me. And cigarettes, yeah, I've been on and off cigarettes. Not recently though. Haven't had a cigarette since, I don't remember. I was messing with the pipe a little bit last summer, but that didn't go too well. I was getting this weird tingly feeling, and I read up about it, and tobacco can like trigger weird stuff, and I don't know what the deal was with that, but no tobacco, long time. No alcohol, long time. No weed for a year. And now we're going for masturbation and pornography, which that one will be huge. When I get to a point when I feel like I've basically just stopped masturbating, that's going to be like, bro, you haven't been there since 4th grade. Because I have never been able to make any progress with that. A couple of attempts where I lasted like a week here or 10 days there, but that was like 2 times, and when I fell off, I got really depressed, which I'm not feeling anymore, because now I've so consistently kept at it that I'm just not getting that depression anymore, because I know I'm going to get right back on the horse. I think the depression comes from submitting to the demon again. Like, you feel powerless. When you were trying to stop, when you're doing your streak, it was just so hard, and you're just so tempted. And it's just kind of that hopelessness when you run back into the arms of your addiction, where it's like, wow, man, like, I don't think I can leave this behind. But I've left weed in the dust. I'm not even really worried about it anymore. I don't even feel like I have that much to say about it. And I'm actually kind of taking the blueprint there and trying to apply it to pornography and masturbation. And, you know, it's beating a freaking dead horse of a metaphor or an analogy. It's like leaving the Matrix, you guys. It's like leaving the Matrix for real. If you really want to do the Matrix LARP, if you really want to be Neo and you really want to leave the Matrix, you quit alcohol, you quit weed, you quit drugs, you quit cigarettes, you quit pornography and masturbation, and you just breathe, man. You just breathe, and you're gonna have that, like, oh, I want to smoke, I want to masturbate, I want to do this, I want to drink, I need something. Eventually it goes away. The number one tip that I can give you for leaving this stuff behind is even when you fail, you're still quitting. Like, even when you fail, you're still quitting. Immediately when you fail, you're thinking, how am I going to get right back on the horse? So for weed, which is the topic of the video, like I already said, you know, your grinder, don't scrape your grinder. Like, maybe make a plan. Like, right now, you're a pothead, and you're like, I want to quit. And you still have, like, I don't know, a good amount, like a week or two's worth. Maybe, like, set a date ahead, a week or two in time, but not too far, not like 6 months ahead. Really, I would just say however much weed you have left, okay? You don't need to be throwing any weed away, but if you got like a week or two's left, don't scrape your grinder the entire time. Let that get really nice and keefy and whatever. And then when you run out, try to just stop smoking. Don't, like, immediately go into your scraping your grinder. Try to stop smoking for like a couple days, as long as you can, until you absolutely break down. Then start scraping your grinder. But try not to, like, you know, you're staving off. Once you get to the grinder stash, you're staving off like a hit or two a day. And then hopefully by the time you can't scrape your grinder anymore, you're ready to quit. That's the best I got. What kind of happened with me was that I was smoking this like crappy shake that was at the bottom of the bag. You know how like when you get to the bottom of the bag, there's like all the crumbs, and then you smoke it and it's not really weed. It's like crappy stems and stuff that kind of looked like it was weed and it sucked. I smoked that for like 2 days. I smoked that, and then I ran out. It was like, bleh. Well, the last time I smoked, these last couple of days I smoked, it wasn't very good. That kind of helped trick me into being ready to quit, I guess. What else is there? I don't know, man. Like, you just quit, and by the time you're getting to NoFap, it'll just be like, bro, weed probably isn't going to seem that hard. You'll miss weed for like 2 or 3 weeks tops, but it should get to a point where just, you know, you don't need to smoke weed to be normal. You're just normal, and 90% of a pot smoker's experience is going to be just smoking weed to stay normal. It's an illusion, bro. It's an illusion. It's really just keeping you normal, and probably your favorite part of it is, you know, loading up the bowl or loading up the bong, and the way it makes you feel to, like, you know, not the way it makes you feel when you're high, just the little ritual of lighting your bong and inhaling the smoke. You like the taste of the smoke, you like the smell of the weed, you like the way the weed looks, you like the way the bag of the weed looks, but it's an illusion, man. You're smoking to stay normal, and it gets to a point where you stay normal with nothing, and then you just save money. And man, I think about now compared to when I was like 21, man, I bought my cigarettes, I bought my weed, I bought my alcohol. Every now and then we buy something else, and it just, money, dude, money. And then, yeah, stack the OnlyFans and that kind of stuff on top of it, and not doing that anymore. Deleted the OnlyFans. People gave me a lot of crap about that, but bro, it's just time. It's just time, you guys. And what I'm finding is that, you know, I want my channel to help people, but I can't expect everybody to follow me on the path that I'm going, man. So the biggest tips that I have is that once you decide to quit, stick with it. And, you know, if the grinder thing doesn't work and you have to buy weed, buy 20, buy a joint. Don't ever buy a sack ever again. And one of the things that kind of helped me was I didn't like going to the store. I didn't like being around the people at the store and having to drive and go there and whatnot. I was too lazy to want to go there. So it was kind of like, do you want to deal with the discomfort of going to the weed store, or do you want to just deal with the discomfort of, like, coming down off of your weed addiction for like a week or two, you know? But and then the last thing was that it was kind of like you're pulling like a reel, like our little roulette, you know? I had different experiences every time I tried to quit. Sometimes it was unbearable and I couldn't even last like 2 or 3 days. Sometimes it wasn't that big of a deal, but my appetite would be completely gone to where it was scary. and I felt like I was going to starve to death. So it would be a little bit different every time I tried to quit. And then eventually you're waiting for it to land on that perfect thing where it's like it's not that hard and I can still eat and everything's cool. So basically just pull the reels, and if you can't make it, buy a joint, buy $10 worth, buy $20 worth, and then when you run out, try again. And, you know, try to, like, be really smart with your grinder. Like, when you quit, try to, like, not smoke for as long as you can, and when you're absolutely on the verge of breaking, then you scrape your grinder. And then kind of have the mindset that the next day you're going to try again. But I don't want to bully people. I know that feeling of, like, oh, man, marijuana's all I got. Marijuana is my warm hug. It just means a lot to me. I used to feel that way, guys, and now a year's gone by, and now I really don't. I don't think the smoke is good for your lungs. I think a lot of pot smokers cope. It's like, oh, marijuana smoke is different than tobacco. I think it is, but it's still smoke. It's still smoke. I mean, the tobacco cope is that, like, it's actually... what, the tobacco and cigarettes is like paper soaked in tobacco juice, and they process it some way where tobacco is not even supposed to be that big of a deal, or some people say tobacco gives you high test or whatever. It's whatever, man. The smoke in your lungs, it's not great for you. I love hitting that heavy bag. I'm trying to get my 5K up. Working out means a lot to me. I've heard that weed can lower your test. And I always feel like I muscle up a little bit when I get off of weed. I think kind of the same way that cigarettes like helps people lose weight. I think something about the smoke in your lungs just kind of like, I don't want to say it keeps you leaner because that sounds like a positive thing, but I don't know. I was an ectomorph. I had trouble putting on muscle. I remember the first couple of times I got off of weed, I just kind of felt like it was a little bit easier for me to get stronger. But that's pretty much it, guys. I've managed to rant for 27 minutes about it. I would lightly urge you to follow me down the path that I'm going. I mean, I recommend all the stuff I do, man. I recommend being a Catholic. At the very least, be a Christian. But, you know, we discuss theology here, and I'm happy to answer any questions about it. And, yeah, I definitely Catholic or Orthodoxy. I feel bad. There's this Catholic group I'm in on Facebook, Ask a Priest. Somebody got in something or like somehow they've been banned from the Catholic Church and they're asking what they should do. In that case, just be Orthodox. And it's really not even that big of a deal at all. But, you know, try to like not get kicked out of churches. I don't know what that guy's story was, but I would be interested to hear the other side of the story. But if you're one of the people listening to this where you really are struggling and you really want to quit and you're looking for good advice, I have a challenge for you. Masturbation or weed? Which one do you think would be easier to quit? The only way I could justify, if you're like, oh dude, but weed's not that big of a deal, pick one of them, bro. If for some reason you think it would be easier to completely quit masturbation, like if for some reason it's backwards for you, it's like, yeah, dude, I could probably just like go on a freaking 6-month nofap streak. That would be way easier for me than quitting weed. Well, pick one of them. Eventually, because, you know, your reward for it's like, okay, you did the 6-month nofap streak, now you should quit weed. Because I'm saying quit all of it, man. Ultimately, it's not what it's meant for you. It's not what God wants for you. But yeah, I would say pick whichever one's easier for you and do it. And then when you get to the harder thing, which let's be real is probably pornography and masturbation, use your experience on the first thing as kind of a blueprint. And the blueprint for me is that once you decide you're quitting, you're quitting. Even if you fall off for a week, you're still quitting. Because it's really hard with pornography, man. It gets to a point where, you know, the whole first half of this month, I masturbated every day of January. First 15 days of January, I backslid. Something about the new year. But that whole time I was like, I'm still quitting, even though I'm blowing it right now. And then you just get to where you're ready to get back on. And then I saw progress like I've never seen. And once you start seeing that progress, stick with it. I keep talking about the nofap in this video because it's harder. It's way harder than quitting weed, bro. If you're somebody who thinks it's hard to quit weed, which I know, I've been there, don't take offense to this. It probably means you have some trouble with drive, you have some trouble getting motivated, you're a little bit lazy, you fold when things get hard, and you know what? All that stuff is me. All that stuff is me too, so I'm right in the same boat with you. But, do what you're going to do, man. Ultimately, this is just me talking about my experience. I feel like a lot of people are not going to follow the path I'm following. And, you know, I would hate for somebody to, like, you're like, oh, you know, Reformed Stoic told this guy to quit weed and he killed himself. Or, oh, he told him to get off of his meds and he went crazy. It's his fault. It's your fault. It's tough, man. You know, I think the sad reality is that it's all mental toughness, man. Even when it comes to, like, mental illness, it kind of depends what mental illness, but you know, social anxiety, you're shy, get over it. Depression, you're sad, you're in your head, get over it. No, but the doctor said I have to take SSRIs for the rest of my life. The doctor said I have to do this, I have to do that. Bro, I've been there, and here I am getting high off of nothing for a year straight. So, and then, you know, like, what makes the difference between some people and other people? It's too harsh. It's too politically incorrect to say that it's just mental toughness and mental weakness. And I got all kinds of mental weakness, bro. I am not, like, the perfect example of somebody who doesn't struggle with things. But I feel like if I can do it, you can do it. So just figure out, you know, what means something to you. I mean, I will say this about Christianity, like, you should go to church, because that's how it started for me. You know, I just went to a Baptist church here, because I was the kind of guy who was like, oh, you know, I just read the Bible, and I have my own faith, and my personal relationship for God, and all the churches are cucked. So it starts by just kind of going to a church, because I feel like if you take that step, where you take a deep breath, and you go to a church, you might have the kind of same realizations that I had, where you'll probably just want to go to a Catholic church anyway, where it's like, great, get confirmed, go to confession, follow the same path that I went, guys, because it's a great path. You become a Catholic, that gave me the strength to quit weed, that's giving me the strength to get off of pornography, and then you just start to understand, like, this reflects a life of someone who is growing in the Holy Spirit, and, like, this is the way to live. And I'll just end by saying, I think back on when I started smoking weed in high school, and it's confusing because there was a lot of, like, positive memories about those times. A lot of it, you guys, because I was getting really popular. That was the same time that I was getting really popular. I mean, I had a lot of friends, especially, like, from 8th grade through my sophomore year, but going to the parties, like going to the popular kid parties and becoming friends with the popular kids. And one time we were chilling in my room watching like Saw 4 or something, and he's like, hey, can this person come over? Can this person come over? Can this person come over? And before you know it, there's like 20, 30 people just hanging out in my bedroom, and everybody's like texting and looking for parties and stuff. And I felt like I was really popular, bro. That was happening at the very same time that I had just started smoking weed and drinking, and I look back on those times and I think it's really sad, because I imagine a ghost of a life that could have been. I mean, people talk about it like it doesn't exist, bro. Everybody's so buried in the programming, but there's people out there, there's kids out there who, when they're 16, 17, 18, their high school career is finished out with getting better grades, becoming better at their craft than they've ever been. I used to kind of act like somehow weed was making me good at drums. Complete bull crap, dude. You know, I was developing. Like, I became a drummer who really looked like he was going to go somewhere right around that age. Like, right around the time that I started smoking weed, and it wasn't because I was smoking weed, bro. It's because I feel like your genetics start to express themselves, you know? I see it in my family, like, you know, watching my sister's development, watching how much smarter she gets. And I was like, yeah, I remember when I was 24, remember when I was 26, I developed in this way. I'll bet my sister's going to develop in this way. And then I watch and it happens. And it's like, I became a lot smarter. I became a lot deeper. And I was starting to develop when I was becoming 16 and 17. And there's no way that weed, like, helps that at all. I guarantee it, bro. And, it's sad to think of that ghost of a life of what could have been. I think I could have been really dedicated. I think I could have had better grades. I think I could have been involved in better stuff. I definitely think I could have had a girlfriend. I think life could have been way different, man. And I don't put all of the blame on drinking and smoking weed, but it is not a positive thing when you're a kid. It is not a positive thing to do drugs, party, and screw off in high school. So that makes me sad. I wasted a lot of money on it. I wasted a lot of money on it when I was going to a really expensive college. I've wasted a lot of money in general. So that's that, guys. I'm happy to be off of it. I'm going to stay off of it. And if you want to get off of it, you definitely can. Try it, make a commitment, and follow the blueprint. God bless you, my friends. I'll see you next time. Informed Stoic.